Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for holding this hearing. I appreciate the witnesses for coming. Well, when it comes to knowing what school your kids attend, or buying or selling land, or getting directions on your smartphone to the nearest gas station, accurate and easily accessible geospatial data really are essential nowadays. And the Government Accountability Office has pointed out repeatedly, and multiple administrations have acknowledged, that the federal government could and should be doing a better job in how it collects and handles geospatial data. The lack of effective coordination, according to the GAO, among the federal agencies is causing them to spend millions of dollars that could be saved if they were better coordinated. One of the bills here today, our chair's Map It Once, Use It Many Times Act, is a good attempt to tackle this complex and long-standing issue. I commend the chair for the thoughtful attention he's paid to this problem, and I look forward to the testimony on the subject. I do share some of the administration's concerns with the legislation as it's currently written. I'm not convinced that a new agency within the Department of the Interior is necessary to address the government's lack of coordination of data and handling of the data. And I do support the role of the private geospatial industry in this country. Yet I question whether in this legislation there is an overdependence on the private sector, which might raise some conflict of interest issues. So I hope we will explore that. The other bill on today's agenda, the Federal Land Assessment Inventory Reform Act, the FLAIR Act, introduced by Mr. Kind and Mr. Bishop, is a response to the simple fact that the federal government simply doesn't know how much land it owns. I would like to ask unanimous consent to introduce into the record a letter from Representative Kind of Wisconsin, one of the co-sponsors of this legislation.
If there's no objection, so ordered.
Thank you. It might seem incomprehensible to taxpayers that the federal government doesn't know how much land it owns, but it becomes more understandable when you think about how the West was settled with railroad land grants and the Homestead Act and the Mining Act of 1872 and lots of bits and pieces of other legislation that resulted in enormous transfers of federal land to private ownership. However, this is now the 21st century, and despite the enormity of the task, we should be able to compile an accurate inventory of federal land. The administration has some concerns on this legislation also, mostly having to do with cost, which is estimated to be as high as $68 billion. Now, this high cost comes, I believe, largely from the requirement in the legislation that each parcel of land have attached to it a current value. And of course, we want to know the value of the land that the federal government owns, but maybe there will be more cost-effective ways to accomplish what we're trying to do here. I want to thank the witnesses for being here, particularly is Mr. Parrish, there he is, okay, Dr. Parrish from Penn State, who we've invited to come, and who is representing the Association of American State Geologists. I've asked Dr. Parrish to provide us not only his thoughts on this specific legislation, but also to discuss the USGS initiative called the 3D Elevation Program, or 3DEP, which is an example of a widely supported and I think, critically important mapping initiative that is getting underway. So I thank the chair for setting up what proposes to be an interesting hearing. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate